Dr. Willoughby Hawkins to the stand.
Okay,
And may I quickly set up the demonstrative before I begin my direct?
you may.
Thea.
Yes.
And Emily.
Yes, Your Honor. Is this set up all right, Your Honor?
Fine.
Emily Duquesne for the plaintiff. May I proceed?
You may.
Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Dr. Willoughby Hawkins, Hawkins.
Doctor, can you describe your professional background for the jury?
Yes, I am currently the Amber Lowry Professor and the Chair of the Department of Anthropology at Midland State University. I teach undergraduate and graduate courses in applied ethology and primatology.
Where were you educated?
I received my bachelor's from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, after which I pursued my PhD at the Ohio State University. That was focused in primatology, generally animal sciences. And in the last half of that, I spent 2 years at the Cassandra Photiades Chimpanzee Sanctuary in Montclair, New Jersey.
Doctor, do you have any publications?
Yes, I have over 30 peer-reviewed articles in scientific journals. They mainly pertain to the safety implications of training primates, as well as an event known as the startle reaction.
And have you ever testified as an expert prior to today?
I have. I've been retained in 25 prior cases, 14 for the plaintiff and 11 for the defense.
In those cases, in what expertise were you retained?
Animal behavior.
And why are you here today?
I'm here to assess the reasonableness of Danny Kosak's decision to bring in Elias to MTS, as well as to assess the training that Elias was given.
Doctor, what materials were you given to provide a factual background for today's case?
I received the depositions of both Alex Grace and Danny Kosak, as well as the affidavit of A.J. McClellan. I also reviewed some other materials regarding the set of MTS on the day, as well as regarding Elias's biography.
Did you find that those facts and data were sufficient for you to render an opinion in today's case?
Yes, I'd say I got all the information I needed.
Now, Doctor, can you explain how you go about analyzing cases such as today's?
Of course. I utilize a pretty commonly used three-pronged approach. The first prong deals with the animal's background, where they come from. The second prong looks at their learned behavior, how they've adapted throughout their lifespan. And the third prong deals with training, the direct interaction between the trainer and the animal itself. I then amalgamate all my findings from these three prongs and place them within the academic context that my experience has provided me with. And I'm usually able to come to a cohesive conclusion from that.
Is that method widely accepted within your field?
Absolutely. I'd say it's what most primatologists would use.
And is that the specific method that you applied to today's case?
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about the three things that you mentioned. Could you describe for the jury what, if anything, you found regarding Elias's background?
Yes. Well, Elias was born in the Gogo National Park in Uganda, and he remained there until the age of 6. At that point, he was purchased by the Hardy compound, and subsequently by Danny Kosak and brought to Midlands Animal Sanctuary.
Now, could you describe what you found regarding his learned behavior?
Well, learned behavior is actually significantly affected by the background of the animal. In Elias's case, it's particularly important that he was brought into human captivity at the age of 6, which is
Actually,
usually...
Your Honor, this is an improper opinion by a witness, by an expert witness. Pursuant to Rule 702, there are 4 prongs that must be met. I am not saying that A, B, or D have been met. However, pursuant to Rule C and Tarrant Readers Association of Midlands versus Merrill Dow, the opposing counsel has not laid any foundation of whether or not this opinion by the expert has been subject to peer review, nor if it has been subject to any type of error rate.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe opposing counsel is referencing Terra Rita versus Merrill Dow, Midland's case law, which references that there is no definitive checklist for Your Honor to reference with respect to the methods and the opinions that Dr. Hawkins provides, but rather that peer review is an option. There is no definitive checklist, and it's clear based on her testimony she's more than experienced and educated in the matter to render an opinion with regard to that matter.
Okay, I understand. I would relegate that to a subject of cross-examination. I'm going to overrule the objection, but we will keep it in mind. Thank you very much.
So, Doctor, can you continue? What did you find about learned behavior?
Yes, as I was saying, it is significantly affected by background. And Elias was moved into human captivity at the age of 6, which is usually the onset of puberty in chimpanzees. Now, slightly counterintuitively, the longer an animal spends in the wild, the less likely it is to attack humans. This is because chimpanzees become unaware of their relative strength in comparison to their human counterparts. However, if they are moved into human captivity at the age of puberty or afterwards, they become aware of their increased strength, and when placed in a threatening or unfamiliar situation, are much more likely to resolve that situation with violent behavior.
Doctor, can you describe for the jury why you find those two factors so important?
Well, these two factors affect the training that a chimpanzee is given. Given that Elias's background and his learned behavior, the training that Danny Kosak had given him should have been particularly meticulous, not only because the likelihood of a violent outburst was increased, but also because of the repercussions, which would have been much more severe.
Now, could you describe for the jury what you found regarding Danny Kosak's training of Elias?
Well, frankly, I felt that Danny Kosak's training was inadequate.
Well, Doctor, why do you say that?
It would actually be easier if I could show you on an educational diagram that I brought in.
Your Honor, may Dr. Hawkins step down to use the demonstrative?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may, I'll ask that if I'm able to see the demonstratives being used.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way to angle it or move it so that defense, or actually defense counsel, if you'd like to come around, you can stand wherever it is that you need to see.
Thank you.
Now, Doctor, why would you say that Danny Kosak's training was insufficient?
Well, first, let's consider the layout of the trick. Let's imagine that this is Elias, and this red X is any trick that he's being asked to perform. We can consider a training schedule like creating a pathway between the chimpanzee and the trick. Now, generally, this training schedule begins on a continuous reinforcement method. That is, after every practice of the trick, the chimpanzee would be granted a reward. And initially, this acts as a good signposting method to ensure that the chimpanzee performs the trick reliably. However, in most cases, well, actually in all cases, it's preferable to move on to a partial reinforcement schedule,
Well, what's a partial reinforcement schedule?
similar to a continuous one, except that a reward is given upon every few iterations of a trick, in a fixed ratio schedule, say a set amount every 4 times. And this is widely regarded to be significantly more beneficial in ensuring that the trick is performed reliably and safely.
And why do you say that it makes it more reliable and safe to use that training method?
Well, statistics show that converting from a continuous method to a partial reinforcement schedule reduces the likelihood of a startle reaction from occurring. And a startle reaction is usually the immediate precursor to violent behavior. And furthermore, because the chimpanzee does not grow bored of the reward and still seeks it out, it ensures that the trick is performed more reliably.
You can take your seat, Doctor.
Thank you.
Now, Doctor, based on your knowledge, did Danny Kosak use the most reliable method of training with respect to Elias?
In today's case, no, he did not. From my understanding, Mr. Kosak merely used a continuous method for the training.
And why is that important?
While not moving on to that partial schedule, as I've mentioned, increases the likelihood of a startle reaction and violent behavior occurring, and also reduces the reliability of the trick.
And Doctor, if you know, did Danny Kosak train Elias the same exact way for every TV performance?
No, actually, in most cases, Mr. Kosak did move on to a partial reinforcement schedule. It was only in this case and one prior instant that he solely used a continuous method.
Well, Doctor, what prior instance was that where he also used this training method?
That was in 2015, when he appeared with Elias on a TV show called Safari Trip with Byron Fellows.
And Doctor, if you know, could you describe for the jury what happened on that occasion?
Well, that's something that I actually found quite interesting, because aside from today's case, that was the only other instance where Elias exhibited any form of aggressive behavior.
Thank you, Doctor. Nothing further, Your Honor.